Pablo's debut album is finally out, and to be honest about it, when I learned that he was going to release his album, I kind of knew that I was going to be impressed because it's Pablo. I always am impressed, but I did not expect to actually feel relieved or hopeful, maybe. And maybe it's unfair that I would expect this of one man, but I just felt like there, after everything that our music industry has been going through, there is this one man or from or one group that is actually not just showing us that you don't need much to create an album, but that you don't need much to create an artistic journey that the general public will not just enjoy, but actually want to become a part of it, or want to become a part of, or even learn from, or discover themselves in. That's kind of what it felt like listening to Ulan, because it's filled with so much of us as Filipinos, and it's also filled with so much of the future and so much of Pablo. So I will be there's a lot that I took from, but I will be discussing 10 points, the things that I observed and the things that I like from the album. The inner monster, there is a second persona that was consistently present the entire album. And I thought it was a smart move for him to do that, because it wasn't just him providing different points of view of of a situation. It became more dynamic because there is a an animated character that he is interacting with. I remember that in one of his interviews, he said that La Luna was really meant to introduce his public persona as an artist, Pablo the artist, to the world, and that it was really meant to create this different world that the public persona was going to be in. And I don't know if he was really planning this from the beginning, but he made it consistent through the entire album. The monster has always been present, and then later on revealed that it wasn't actually a monster. But anyway, in Presión, the second character actually spoke to Pablo. So Pablo was telling the story about this person or this monster, and then the other person actually responded, and he said everyone's going to pay eventually. And then in the boy who cried wolf, it was the boy and the wolf. And then in Wala, it's him and his reflection. So it's always two. There's always a duality, but not just a duality of points of view or perspectives. It's actually a duality of persona. And it kind of delivers the point that in each of us, there's always that other side that sometimes we're containing, or sometimes we don't discover, or sometimes we're suppressing. But there's always a second persona and that is just as alive as the one that we present to the public. The absolute lyrical and conceptual genius of The Boy Who Cried Wolf. My God, when I first heard the song, I thought this is an entire story. And then after the second listen, I was like, nope, this is an entire movie. And now I think it's like an entire goddamn mythology. I don't know. There is just something that this story has been told hundreds of thousands of times, or maybe even millions. And we all think that we know the story so much. That's why we don't even bother to think about it. And it was him who actually forced us to look the other way, because the story has been told from the point of view of the boy, from the point of view of the community. But there is this one character, the character that everyone thinks is a monster, that no one bothers to know, and that's the wolf. And it is very much symbolic of who he is, or who we are in the world, that sometimes no one gives us a chance. No one looks at things from from our perspective, and that's what he forced us to do in this song. He's forcing us to rediscover the world that we live in and rediscover the people and the characters that are in our lives, and see maybe there is something there that you don't understand about that person. His ability to progress a narrative or evolve a message is still very much present in this album. So he's one of the few writers out there who in one song, he actually progresses the narrative. He's not just stuck in one place or one message and just rehashing the same message over and over again in the same song. He actually progresses the narrative or evolve the emotion. So for example, in The Boy Who Cried Wolf, he started laying out the situation and how unfair the situation is. So he says, everybody telling that wolf is bad, ain't nobody telling the wolf is sad. And because of that, the wolf is going mad because there's nobody willing to understand. So that's the situation. We know that, okay, it's a boy who cried wolf and whatever. And then in the next verse, he actually shifts the point of view. So there's an action. He shifts. So from one person looking at the wolf, it's now the wolf talking. This is getting out of hand. Ang aking mga paa na may nanginginig, laman lang nagtatangkang kumilala sa aking tinig. So action, right? So he shifts the point of view. And then in the next one, he starts asking for help. So there, he progresses the message. Many pop songs, especially the big ones, the ones that are in the on top of Billboard Hot 100 or whatever, if you listen to those songs, they're actually saying the same thing. It's just they're saying it different ways, but there is no progression. Pablo is of course different. Prolific artistry. So he first rapping. He really was able to display his different flows. It for him, it isn't just about rapping fast or going up and down or whatever. He was able to display the different flows that he can do and how he can match those flow to emphasize the emotion of the song. And then the other thing is that he didn't just rap, he actually sang and he covered so many different genres. I have always been, I mean, I'm not really surprised about it. I think after hearing him perform Ilaw live, I kind of realized that, oh, there's more to this guy than just rapping. Wow, that high note. But here, he didn't overdo it. He definitely showcased his ability to hit the high notes, but it wasn't just that for him. There were so many things that he was able to cover. I've always loved acoustic performances, so I love the acoustic song. But yeah, he was able to really present the different genres he can cover and the different ways he can actually do a song, rapping, singing. And then, as I've said, his vocal range, he can hit the highest of the highs and lowest of the lows. And he can speak in the speed of a plane and drag you through the mud of hell. That's that. And I think what is important is that he knows when to use which. He knows that in this emotion, rapping fast would communicate the emotion. And then in another part, it's better to rap slow. But more importantly, I think I've mentioned this before. One of my pet peeves among Filipino singers is the love for beat it. Even when you don't have to, when it doesn't really help the song, they still do it. I love the maturity of Pablo because he knew that that's not what this part calls for, so I'm not gonna do it. I will not hit that high of a note because that's not what is needed in this part. So I appreciate him having the maturity and the control to not just try and impress, but to actually communicate the emotion and communicate the message. He puts you in the story. He puts you in the song. He uses different sonic elements to make the situation real for you as a listener. So, for example, in Prashon, it feels like you're entering a haunted house. It's a combination of the piano and the percussion, and then there's several sound effects. So, through the different instruments and the different sounds that he's using, he's creating that environment around you while you're listening. And then he also changes his resonance, especially in songs where there are two persons or two characters that are talking or two characters that are singing in the song. It's distinct enough for you to hear the other persona if you're really paying attention, and but not distinct enough if you're just casually listening. And then I think the most glaring ability, the most glaring example of his ability to create that environment around you is Kumunoy, because in the first verse, the opening verse, it actually felt like he was singing from down under, from that he was buried somewhere and he's singing from there. So that again is a sign of artistic maturity, because he's not just singing, he's not just rapping, he's actually creating that environment around you. Again, it makes you experience the song and not just listen to the song. For Pablo, it's not just wordplay, it's actually thought play. So he's not just using a word in different ways, but he's actually using the same thought in different ways. So for example, in Kumunoy, he said, ako'y nawala na, gusto ko nang mawala. So for my Western audience, I also put the English translation of the lyrics just in case you're interested in understanding what he actually said. But here, the words lost and disappear, he used the same Filipino word to denote or connote two different things. So in a word play, you're just using the same word. Actually, you're just playing with words. Basically, you're using one word to mean different things. But for him, he's actually using the same thought to mean different things. So both thoughts, ako'y nawala, gusto ko nang mawala, it's actually the same thing. I got lost, I want to get lost, something like that. But because of the sensibility of our language, it's actually more like I'm lost and I want to disappear, like be gone completely. So not just getting lost. And then in the song Kelan, he said, naging matalik na kaibigan ng dilim, liwanag ang kanyang lihim. Or in English, darkness has become a friend and light is the secret that he keeps. So the English translation doesn't actually give justice to the Filipino meaning of it, but the darkness and light were actually used as opposites, but together they meant the same thing. And the meaning is that darkness is where he's comfortable in, and the things that he shows to other people, or the things that he shows when there is light, when it's bright, that's actually um, those aren't real, or he's not really showing anything. So but in darkness, that's where he's more comfortable in. So it's not just word play, it's thought play. This is not just a collection of songs. This album is not just a collection of songs. This is actually an intellectual and an emotional journey. You can feel and hear the care that he put in each song, so that you're not just getting hooked in the chorus or the bridge or the melodies, but you're actually experiencing the entirety of the song. He made sure that each part is equally good. That one part is just good as the other. And for the entirety of the album, he made sure that one song is just as good as the other. And that, because that is the only way. Like, if you really want to appreciate and understand what he's saying, you're gonna have to listen to each song from beginning to end, and listen to the entire album from beginning to end. So it's not just a collection of songs, which is what other many other singers usually do. They just like collecting good songs, putting it in one album. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but for him, it's an experience. It's the journey that he is taking you into, and not just an album that he wants you to listen to. I appreciate that it's not overproduced. There aren't a lot of layers of instruments or different beats that could distract you. He used just enough to support the story that he's trying to tell. There's no heavy autotune, not that he needs it. The instruments are very, very scaled down. You can feel and hear the effort to stick to the basics of a song. It's almost like It's almost like listening to the songs of the Beatles. If you've ever listened to their songs, you would know that there aren't a lot of embellishments in their songs. That's why it's so good to remake, because their version is so basic that there's so many things that you can do with the song. He created it this way. It's very minimal. Like, he wouldn't put a layer there if it isn't necessary. So, because really the strength of this album really lies on the lyrics, on the words, and on the melody. I hope that he is actually ushering a new way of creating an album where it's not just a sonic feast or a play of different fun songs to sing, but an actual storytelling. That there is an actual narrative in there. There are dif- um, different or unique thoughts, or different schools of thoughts. There are new ideas, even if the idea is about an old subject. I hope that if there's anything people will take away from this album, it would be future singers or future artists or performers. If there's anything they will take away from the album, that is the value of actually creating a substantial story through the songs, through the lyrics, melodies, and through the beats. And that's Pablo for you. I would, of course, recommend it. I will recommend it to everybody. I do have a Patreon community, so if you can join us there, it would be great. I do have a free membership. If you don't want to pay or you want to just try things out, please join us there. I will also be, just to my friends, I'll be recommending this album. And of course, I will continue to enjoy it in the many, many months to come. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you for watching. Please give this video a like, subscribe, and hit that notification button. And if you haven't already, please do so. Also share the video because that's helping my channel. Please follow me, as I've said, on Patreon. Follow me on Twitter or on X, and also on Instagram. Thank you. I appreciate you all.